Follow the person however long. I've had a kettle here the whole time. Wow.
Editor Chris checking in here. The audio in this video is terrible. The main audio failed and the first backup failed, so I'm left with the internal Canon 80D audio, which is no good at all. Done my best. I've tried out this CHEESUS Era 5 trial and I get to fully functional. It's pretty much taken away all the traffic noise, but it's pretty tough still, and I've kind of been holding off putting this review out just because the audio is so bad. I don't think I can show my face to it, but I think I'm gonna have to just try because there was some nice footage of shots, so I kind of wanted to get out there. So we'll see, but sorry about the audio.
Panasonic lent me this for 2 weeks to sort of test out, and then some client work came in and I've been completely blitzed by that. Haven't had time, so it's been a complete waste of time almost. But I took it on one of the client shoots, gave it a little bit of a test, and it worked really well. But yeah, it would be nice to have that 2 weeks again so I could just sort of play with it more. So I just talk about my overall feelings for it. I've really liked it. I've been really impressed with it, particularly in the autofocus department. I think that's the one that's kind of glaring obvious that it's been the letdown from Panasonic. Two things they've done to sort of combat the autofocus, and that is to build the autofocus system from the ground up. It's still contrast based, but it's pretty good now. I'm shooting this on the 80D, and once you go back to that and compare it, you can still see that Canon and Sony have also been just way ahead with the phase detect. You can trust it. You just almost just tap on the person, just track them. There's no problem at all. With this one, I've still found it kind of sort of losing its focus a lot. Providing there's no other people in the shot, you can quite happily track people's faces and it won't pause too much. I've been trying out the 2.0 firmware as well, and I think that's kind of improved a little bit. Yeah, it's been pretty solid. I mean, if you were to vlog with this, you would get fine results. I don't think you can have any trouble at all. This is on the 24 to 105 lens. The minimum aperture is 4 on it, so you've kind of got a reasonable depth of field on that, so it is able to sort of track you and follow you pretty well. But I saw today that Casey's video put out, he stuck a Sigma 1.4 on there, and it really struggled with that.
Like that? What are you doing? And now?
Because you're only working with that certain depth of field, really. It's also got animal detect autofocus in here. I found that kind of did work. Again, I don't know if you can turn off the human detect, but I was sort of trying to track some dogs and birds and all sorts of things. But if a human was in shot, and typically they were, it would follow the human. And you can't I couldn't tap across to just say, hey, just follow the dog. It just kept like putting the gold box around the guy. I've not got a Ninja, so I can't record the output from the thing. I mean, I don't know if you could I tried pressing and holding on the faces to sort of like just lock onto them, but it would follow the person however long. I've had a kettle here the whole time. Wow. Get rid of the kettle. It would track the person to an extent, and then maybe someone else would walk in front of them. And I was doing this deliberately to test the autofocus. It might follow the person who's nearer in that case, and it would swap between people. But on the client shoot, we were doing him trying out this electric bike, and he was just going up and down the hill. And for that, it tracked it perfectly. I was kind of shooting quite wide anyway, and it would follow the face. I'd have to sort of pull it across quite nicely. Shot a lot of slow motion, some normal 24, 25p. All worked fine. I wouldn't have had any problems. It wasn't until I sort of like really kind of pushed it today with going and shooting at a park and having lots of people and getting lots of faces to sort of choose from that I kind of noticed its limitations a lot more. So it's really going to depend on what you're shooting and how many people are going to be in the same shot doing this sort of documentary interviews. Be absolutely fine and you won't have trouble at all. What I have been quite impressed with is the internal audio. So if you were to sort of just vlog this and you don't have like a Rode to stick on top of it, I think you'd be really impressed with the audio that's in there. It's really quite crisp, really impressive. I could go as far as to say you could just record audio out of camera if you're just vlogging, no problem at all. If you're doing documentary for it.
This is me testing the autofocus in a hill. Doing a little shoot for some clients here. GH5 on the tripod. Me on the S5. How does this work? Am I in focus?
It probably would be completely fine. It's probably better to get some dedicated audio recording anyway, but this would be usable scratch audio if anything ever ran out of batteries or whatever. In terms of sort of like autofocus, again, on just taking photographs, again I would sort of struggle. I'd try and get maybe like some foreground, some middle ground, background kind of imaging. I'd want to, I'd have my single spot focus on that middle bit, but it was still kind of like whatever's in the nearer foreground. So there's quite a lot of shots of me. I'm trying to take a picture of a couple sitting on a bench, and it would focus onto the tree that's just in front of them slightly. And that happens mainly on the 255 or 225, whichever it is. And they've got one sort of like an oval focus. I always feel like when I'm shooting with the Canon, it kind of just knows what I want to take the picture of, and it would just know to just grab the couple on the bench. Whereas this one was kind of like, do you want the plants? Do you want the bench? Do you want the church in the background? Maybe on the grass. Do you want the bench? And you're sort of half pressing, and it's kind of, just about getting it. So I got the shots, but maybe I had to sort of retake them a couple of times. With the autofocus, you can output linear focus on this lens. So that means, it's very reliable to pull your focus now. You can, depending on like the speed you were doing the focus, you could lose it. You can go straight past it, and that's the downside to the focus by wire settings. But this one, add in the linear focus, and then you can reliably pull it back to back. Maybe make yourself like a little dot here and a dot there. Piece of cake. So there's definitely ways around the autofocus. It's usable. With the Canon one, I feel like I can just tap, and then that's it. This one, I'm tapping the thing, and it kind of wants you to sort of accept the focus peak. So you can't reliably sort of just point in between focus pulls. I wasn't able to work that out at all. Stabilization on this has been pretty good. This is the Panasonic lens has got the image stabilization into it. It's got the optical image stabilization. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. The lens is steadied, the body's steadied. It was pretty solid. I'm able to zoom into 105 and really keep that quite steady. It wasn't a problem at all. It's great. I found it quite a nice lens. This is my first time shooting full frame. So coming from Micro Four Thirds or APS-C, I can see the benefit of full frame. It was quite nice to be able to sort of, be shooting at 24, and it's at 24. I'm having to sort of double it now. It's 50 actually. I need to find 12 lens to get roughly that one. You're getting all the dynamic range that comes with full frame. Yeah, it's been nice. But if you're a GH5 user, would I upgrade to this? Do I think you should upgrade? Probably not. I think the body over here you can get for £1,700. Which is pretty good. If I didn't have a GH5, I would definitely grab this. You're getting full frame, you're getting better autofocus. You're probably going to still kind of want to keep it on manual for professional stuff anyway. I don't know if it's a £2 upgrade. I don't know if it's worth it in that sense. You also have to buy the L mount lenses. I think this lens is £1,000. There's Sigma are doing some cheaper options for about £400. I think they've got like a 50mm, maybe a 35mm, kind of around that price range. So you're looking at 2,100, 2,200 to get started. With £2,000, you could get yourself a Ninja, a cage, some handles. You can maybe have a look at getting one of the Voigtlander cinema lenses. They're like 0.95 aperture, which kind of brings you down to 2 equivalent. That's great. That's usable. It's definitely nice. There's a lot you can do with £2,000 to sort of bolster your GH5. It's also got the limitless recording. This will cap out at 30 minutes on sort of the higher sort of 4K 60 settings. You can still do 1080, 180 on this, but the time limit does come into play. You can record 30 and then hit record again 30 immediately afterwards. You can keep doing this forever, it seems. I was reading that they've done it because they think it might overheat. Don't know, it would get warm. I think they probably could have pushed it. You may be able to break that limit in the firmware update. In terms of how big this is, It feels a little bit on the smaller end. I mean, I think it's the same size from what I'm seeing here. Obviously, if you can get yourself an external display, it makes everything a lot easier. It's really nice using like a sort of 7-inch and just being able to see what you're shooting a lot better. But I've been really pleased with the results I've been getting. Kind of, I almost feel it's a little bit too small out sometimes. My thumb's quite big and I'm sort of tapping between the focal points. It's not necessarily catching it every time, but when I'm reviewing it on the computer afterwards, really impressed with it. Loving the colours from the Panasonic. I'm a big fan of their colours. The Vlog's great. I enjoy grading that an awful lot. I've really enjoyed the sort of like the feel of these buttons. The record button feels great to press. Loving the sort of the shutter wheel. That's really great. These ones at the back here, very enjoyable. Love the little flash of red. This is cool. I think on here you kind of got that one where you can kind of lock it off. There's no locking on that one, it's just kind of like a nice click there. The buttons feel like they're sort of like in the right place. You've got a sort of a directional D-paddy thing here. Touchscreen was cool. I think touchscreen is actually maybe a little bit unresponsive. At times there's been kind of, I had to really get to try and double press things. So maybe that's kind of where they've certainly cut corners. Yeah, the trigger here actually, I find that can be quite a little bit hair. There's no kind of, there's the half press which is very easy to do, and then to press the fully thing, there's no kind of, it's just spongy. Whereas this one's almost like a definitive click to it, and the half press, you can feel the resistance of the click and then you press in and click it. This one, the half press is, and there's no bottom to it almost, there's no click at the bottom. It's just spongy. So I found I was taking photos randomly by accident. I didn't mean to do that, or I'd sort of like hit record. You can set this to be recorded. I quite like that at times. It would be cool if that maybe was a little bit better. Didn't have much chance to play with the SNQ modes, but they're, you know, the sort of like slow motion essentially, or the time lapses. It does it well, I'm sure. I was shooting in manual. I shot 180 fine. So I don't know if you necessarily need to be an SNQ to do 180, because I was something to do with the menus. Charging the battery down here, and there's one thing I could do with looking at, which is if you can do synchro scan, which is really good for when you've got like cheap LED lights, they can flash on camera a lot. So it would be good if I could find that in there. Menu systems like the menu systems, if you're coming from the GH5, I think it's more pleasant, it's quite nice. It's a lot more easy to understand. I kind of like the Panasonic menus anyway. Again, looking at the Sony ones, very confusing menu system. Being able to set the recording to have like a big red square around it is really nice as well. There's been a few times where I've kind of not noticed that if the red dot's on or not. So having the big square on that is really quite nice. Silent mode is very, very silent. That's something that's quite fun. You wouldn't be able to tell if you were taking photographs at all. Quite like the eyepiece, that's very, very nice, kind of rubbery. I always find the eye sensors are very, very sensitive though. There's low and high, and I almost could do with like there being a lower one. If ever you're sort of like shooting low to your chest, that will cut off the sensor. I mean, it's the same thing on the GH5 really. Maybe a little bit too sensitive for my liking. I've heard a lot of people complaining about sort of the low resolution EVF, but not noticed that being a problem at all. Yeah, I'm happy. I would never have noticed it was particularly low. I think it's sort of, the other guys are like 3 million, 4 million dots, and this one's 2. Can't tell. Not any luck on finding this synchro scan thing, so who knows. Yeah, they recently added in the waveform monitor, which is nice in the second update. The little charging device is quite nice. It's USB-C, and for the UK market, the plugs looks really weird. It kind of you have to put it into the right-hand plug socket because it's got the USB comes out of it, juts out of it a bit, and so then if you're going to put it into the left plug socket or any of the sort of leftmost plug sockets on your extension lead, it blocks off the second plug thing. So it's always going to go to the far right. Not really a problem, but I guess it would have been nice if it's sort of like, you know, just that behind it or something. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying these new batteries. They're pleasant. Just taking the lens off. So light. really liked. But yeah, this is, yeah, very light. This is a heavy lens. But yeah, nice. I think imagine 2021 is going to be pretty great for Panasonic. They've always delivered on the video features above and beyond everybody else. If they get a couple more L mount lenses in there, yeah, I don't know, I think I do. Fantastic camera, I really like it. In terms of would I get this over the S1, the S1Hs, S1Rs? Yeah, maybe. The S1H is obviously the more video-centric one, and that's kind of got the limitless recording. It can do, it's internal 6K, I think. It's a bigger, heavier camera. It's got the fan built into it. It's got quite an interesting articulating screen. It's also twice the price. You're getting a lot of the best of the S line in this. You're getting the S1 with Vlog. This will be cheaper to get this. A full Vlog in there, and the battery is pretty powerful. I think I probably got about 3 hours just using it forever. Had no trouble at all. Took photos, took videos, slow motion, all sorts of things. It's been, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Maybe the 3 days that I've actually had out of the 2 weeks, it's been a really enjoyable experience. Which, you know, there's a lot to love about this camera. I think if I didn't have the GH5, this would be an easy sell to me. No problem at all. I would have, if I had my 80D and I needed to go up to something 4K, without a shadow of doubt I'd be grabbing this. How does it sort of fight off the Sony A7SIII? It's, I don't know, I can't justify it myself. You know, I'm looking at a £3,500 body, and this is doing 80% of what that can do anyway. I can't justify the price myself. I'm not too fond of the colours. I've been sort of like arguing with various people on YouTube about, you know, Sony colours and whether they're kind of screwing up your skin a bit. I feel like they are. Sort of played with the A7 III and the A7S2. There's a lot of grading required, from what I'm seeing. I enjoy grading a lot, but too much fine tuning. And with this one, I'm very happy with, you know, just putting on the sort of, in DaVinci there's the colour space transform tool. I just add in my V-Gamut, my V-Log, tell it to go to Rec 709. I get a pretty great image. I'm really happy with it. So that, adding on a LUT on top if needs be, very flexible, really liking it. A lot to love about it. So I think in summary, if you're a GH5 user, it's probably not the upgrade you're looking for. Full frame is nice, you get a lot of dynamic range, you're getting the dual native ISO, it shoots in low light well. I didn't mention that at all, but the low light capability in this is absolutely fine. Again, it's not a Sony, which, I don't know, I think they've got like a 400,000 ISO or something. It seems quite usable, which is amazing. But this one, yeah, if you're shooting at night, you're going to be completely fine with it. It's, if you're shooting at night, you're going to be completely fine with this, no trouble at all. The most extreme circumstances, yeah, it will struggle, but you're probably not going to be doing that. Why would you be shooting in a pitch black room? You're just not going to be doing it. But yeah, if you were just to pick this up, kind of this is going to be your first 4K camera, if you're just getting started out in the content creator game and you need a camera that can do everything, do stills as well as 4K video, do all the slow motion stuff, yeah, absolutely, you're going to love this. Autofocus wise, it's fine, it's usable. If you're vlogging on it, it's completely fine. If you're just a single person in the frame, if you're only recording one person, completely fine. If you have some LEDs in the background or lots of lights, you may notice some of the pulsing. I don't think it's too much of a problem there. I think it's completely forgivable. I just don't know if I would be comfortable using it in a fully professional shoot. I think it would be struggling with that. And anyway, you're probably going to be using manual focus anyway. So the ability to turn the focus by wire lenses into linear is great. If I didn't have a GH5, I would absolutely buy this. GH5 is a fantastic camera. It makes it hard to buy anything else. So, well, thanks for making it this far in the video. If any of this is useful, cool. If you've got any questions, I would say drop them in the comment section below and ask me those questions, because I've got the camera and I could probably have a go and find out for you. but I've got to put it back in its box now and ship it back to DK Audio. Sign off by saying thank you very much, Panasonic. They lent me this via their loan scheme. I think apparently I was one of the first to request it. Very excited, I got this a couple of weeks ago and been a delight to use. So thank you DK Audio for making this completely hassle-free and being great people. And yeah, shout out Panasonic, you're doing a fantastic job here. Looking forward to your next release.